Hi friends! We're going to be finding slope today, and slope is defined as the ratio of vertical change to the horizontal change. Slope is used to describe how your line changes from one point to the next. Finding slope is pretty easy as long as you have 2 points. So for our purposes in this example, you can see the first point is right here. This is the point x1, y1, just some point, and you can see that it's 2, 2. However, to generically describe these 2 points, we have a point 1 and a point 2, basically, in the second point, x2, y2. So as long as you have 2 points, you can describe the slope of the line. And the slope is how it changes from one point to the next. Okay, let's look a little more specifically. We have our first point here is x1, y1, and we have our second point up here is x2, y2. In order to calculate the slope, all we need to do is say that the slope is the changes in y over the change in x. This m here represents slope. And the change in y is located on top, and the change of x is located on the bottom. Okay, let's actually find the slope of this line. Since we have 2 points that are on the line, we can find the slope of the line, or describe how it's changing from one point to the next on the line. So if you look at this line, the point x1, y1, this point right here, is actually the point 2, 2. If you look at x2, y2, or the second point labeled on the line, it's actually the point 4, 6. So to calculate the slope of the line, all you have to do is plug in the information into the slope formula. Taking a look at the points above, this is the point x1, this is the point y1, this is at x2, and this is y2. So if I label my points like this, it's easy to plug them into the slope formula below. I can look up top and see that the coordinate y2 is actually 6, so I can put in a 6. And the coordinate y1 is 2. Going back up top, for x2 is 4, and x1 is this 2 here. Simple arithmetic says 6 minus 2 is 4, and on the bottom, 4 minus 2 is 2, so the slope is actually equal to 2. Okay friends, if we are tasked with finding the slope of the given line in blue, all we have to know about the line is 2 points on the line. So in order to start cooking, we need a recipe. Oh, I found a recipe. There it is, the slope formula. We can see that the point x1, y1 is actually the point -1, 2. And we can see down here at x2, y2, the point we're actually talking about is 2, -4. Now I label my points from left to right on my graph. That's why I just called this one x1 up here, and I called this one x2, y2 down here. Now it actually doesn't matter which you label what, it just matters that you're consistent. So if you say x1, y1 up here, make sure you grab the numbers over here to the left, and if you label this one x2, y2, doesn't matter. Here we go. So since we labeled these accordingly, let's go ahead and substitute into our slope formula. We can see the point y2, if you look over here to the right, the point y2 is actually this -4. Let's go ahead and label all of our points before we get started. Okay, so the point y2 is -4. Be very careful here, -4. The point y1 is 2. The point x2 is the 2. I've already got these labeled, so it's easy to plug into my slope formula. And x1 is finally -1. Be careful there as well. So really, when we simplify up top, we've got a -4 and a -2, -6. On the bottom, be careful, 2 and the opposite of -1, which is 1. 2 and 1 is 3. The slope is -2. Maybe you've noticed that in the first line, the slope was 2, positive 2. And as you move from left to right across the graph, you notice the trend is that the graph will rise or have a positive slope. In the second case, we had a slope of negative 3. And as you move from left to right across this graph, you notice that the trend is that over to the right, it's starting to go down. So that's what we call a negative slope. If a line rises from left to right, positive slope. If a line falls from left to right, negative slope. Go ahead and try both of these examples. Suggestion. If I'm given any 2 points, okay friends, if I'm asked to find the slope between these 2 points, like 3, 4, and 4, 5, 6, what I would do first is label my points so that I can plug them into the slope formula properly. So I've got the slope is equal to the change in y over the change in x. And that's described as y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So if I organize these points over here to the left, maybe I can easily plug them into the formula. So let's call this first point x1, y1, go figure. Let's call this second point x2, y2, the second x that I got and the second y that I got. So now I can easily plug them into the slope formula and be on my way.